Hello lovelies, have I mentioned how handsome, beautiful, winsome and charming you all are lately? Not to mention generous. I need your help to help a friend of mine who is in a bit of a tight spot, and they really need a shiny new wheelchair which they are in absolutely no position to afford. Here's the short version if you're one of those people who suffers from a low attention span. Jamie is a dear friend of mine. Life has continuously and consistently taken a big old wet stinky poop all over Jamie's life. And this poop theme has come to one of its all too frequent heads. Jamie recently discovered that he'd been misdiagnosed for over a decade and is now stuck in a kind of bureaucratic loophole. He can neither get the housing nor the wheelchair that he really desperately needs without getting one or t'other first. The loophole, the whole wheelchair thing, is complicated. I'll talk about it some more in a bit. But getting a wheelchair seems like the more straightforward option, the one that we can solve more easily compared to getting Jamie a house. So let's raise the £2,000 really that he needs for a shiny wheelchair. And let's accomplish a Christmas miracle and make Jamie's Thanksgiving, Christmas and New Year all in one. Alright, so here's the download on the whole wheelchair situation. Jamie lives in an attic flat on the 3rd story of a house. To get out of the house, Jamie has to butt scoot down the stairs like a dog with worms. Not the best situation. Jamie can no longer really move around about the house without assistance. So Jamie really needs a fully adapted, wheelchair accessible home. The council won't consider Jamie for a wheelchair accessible property because Jamie doesn't use a wheelchair full time, only because Jamie doesn't have a wheelchair. You can't get an accessible house without a wheelchair, and wheelchair services will not consider you for an active user chair unless you live in a specially adapted home already. To describe this as crazy is to miss a perfectly good opportunity to use the word Kafkaesque. This is the inescapable wheelchair housing paradox. For those of you with a bit of a longer attention span, I've known Jamie for a very long time, though I don't remember exactly how we met. I do know we met through live action roleplay. Yeah, I know, horribly nerdy. Still, that was also an environment in which weirdos, freaks and nerds like me and like Jamie had a place to thrive and make meaningful friendships. Jamie has since gone on to make friends in other similarly nerdy and geeky pursuits: K-pop fandom, the BTS army, parasports, fanfic, Korean language learning, disability rights, especially with regard to music, and more. Despite the increasing disability, Jamie is always up to something. He doesn't just spend his days scooting up and down stairs on his butt for the lulz. Jamie is bashful, embarrassed and ashamed, though he shouldn't be. He wouldn't be asking for help if it wasn't really serious. In fact, he's not asking for help. I'm asking for help on his behalf. Which means it's all probably about twice as bad as Jamie is letting on to me, and I think it's pretty serious. He's never been shy of offering moral and emotional support to others, including me, when hard times have hit. As always seems to be the case, it's those with the least that give the most when others are in need. There's also those with the least who, I think, are the most reluctant to seek help, even when they really need it. Back in the LARP days, of course, Jamie was Bex. And you better get this out of the way now. Many of you listening to this might know the man, Jamie, from when he was the woman Bex, or Purple Bex. You might know Jamie from his Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, which is generally at cute little Britboy, B-O-I. As long as I've known Jamie, he's had gender identity issues, usually playing gender-swapped characters, eccentric characters. Ironically, one of his best-loved characters from back in the day was a wheelchair user, using a recovered wheelchair from a skip, if I remember correctly. At the same time, Jamie has never been an arsehole about either his transition or his disability. He's been endlessly patient and tolerant of how this confuses some of his old friends, polite when we slip on the pronouns or use they while we're in a blind panic. He's been gracious when we stumble as we try to understand and accept that this is now closer to his true inner self. Jamie has a way of making you feel appreciated, listened to and understood, whether as a player, a friend, a fan, a fellow maker of stories, whatever it might be. And he's absolutely the best person in the world to give presents to, with a bashful sort of aw shucks charm that makes you want to hug the life out of him. Jamie also has a way of bringing out some of the best qualities in other people. He encourages them to be the kindest, most generous, and most creative people that they can be. I am my best self when I'm around Jamie. What little Jamie has, he always shares. While I've been poor and sick and have let gifting to people lapse, barely a Christmas goes by without a card and a little present from Jamie. Even if it's a kitschy piece of tat, it never fails to raise a smile. Jamie loves kitsch, and that love is infectious. Even I, an inveterate, moody, old goth, can grin when Jamie sends me an LED bunny rabbit nightlight, for example. In any sane or fair universe, Jamie would have been born as some cuddly purple gay kitten, living in a pink-painted and glitter-strewn house somewhere. Unfortunately, we live in this timeline, the darkest of timelines. There is no cosmic justice or karma, we have to make it ourselves. Shit things happen to the best people, and so it logically follows that Jamie, being one of the best people in the world, takes the most crap from a cold and indifferent universe. We are as genitals to the gods, they play with us for their sport, as Lord Melchett put it. Apart from the gender identity issues, Jamie was diagnosed with pretty severe fibromyalgia. That's a long-term illness that causes pain, brain fog, trouble sleeping, and is comorbid with depression and other issues that result from constant pain and lack of sleep. I could go on, and if you know anyone with fibro, please do look out for them and help them out. But in a horrible twist of fate, it turns out that Jamie doesn't have fibromyalgia and never did. Rather, they have multiple sclerosis and functional neurological disorder, which because of the misdiagnosis have gone untreated for a long time. This is where it gets complicated again, but here's the download on the medical situation. Jamie was wrongly diagnosed with fibromyalgia for years. Jamie fought this diagnosis, thinking that something else was wrong, as he was getting some pretty severe symptoms that didn't marry up to fibro. Paralysis, seizures, loss of bodily control, nerve pain, and so on. Jamie was lucky enough to break his shoulder not too long ago, about a year ago, and his orthopedic doctor, fortunately enough, also had good neurological knowledge and realised that something else was up. That got Jamie on the proper medicine for seizures and nerve pain and referred Jamie for the appropriate tests and evaluations. Finally, Jamie knew what was up: multiple sclerosis and functional neurological disorder. The right diagnosis means the proper treatment and the opportunity for a more fulfilling and full life. That takes time, a wheelchair, and fixing a lot of the damage that the wrong treatment has been causing, or at least not addressing, for years. Jamie was misdiagnosed and mistreated for over a decade. Worse yet, some of the treatments given for fibro made MS worse. Now he's finally getting the right treatment, years too late, but there's a lot of ground to make up. With the right treatment, at the right time, Jamie could have continued his career. He could have led a more active life. He could have participated far more in society and the world. His dream career that he was on course for was in the music industry. He's gone from dizzying heights to disappointing lows. And let's just take a moment and absorb the full impact of that, shall we? Having a debilitating ailment, especially an invisible illness like fibro, is bad enough. You make adjustments, you lower your life expectations, you come to terms with being unable to hold down a proper job and living off benefits, relying on people's forbearance and help to make a good enough life for yourself. Then you discover that this was all bullshit. What you had was an undiagnosed, untreated other condition. A condition that could have been controlled with the right treatment. You lost your career, you lost your aspirations, you lost your dreams, and that's all bad enough. But to find out that all those losses were unnecessary, to get into debt, to be shunted from hostile rental property to hostile rental property, to be in constant pain, and to find out that so much of this was just goddamn unnecessary, that is a big oof. Jamie might be on the right treatment now, but you can't help but grieve for the life that you lost, the one that you could have had. Jamie has also struggled with asking for and getting the help he needs, whether from government or friends or family. Bureaucracy is one thing, but there is a hostile environment for people who need assistance. You're always suspected of being a cheat or a scrounger. Many of us struggle with the bureaucracy or the sense of guilt and judgment that comes with all this. This is a problem of Jamie's that I acutely empathise with. I shan't go into too many more details, because it would get more than a little sweary, but red tape, mistakes, legal loopholes, these things have even prevented Jamie from claiming the misdiagnosis compensation that he should have been due. So much has gone wrong, and so little support has been forthcoming for everything that was wrongly done to him. I don't think any of us want the NHS to be sued into the ground by bogus claims, but the protections against claimants have, in this instance, screwed Jamie royally. They also mean that Jamie can't hope to get anything but the most basic wheelchair for at least half a year, and that's unsuited to his situation. The familial rock, the constant that Jamie had in his life, was his father, but unfortunately he passed away not so many years ago, taking away the one truly dependable person that Jamie had. And this triggered a major depressive episode on top of everything else. Now, we would all give the earth to Jamie, but a £2,000 wheelchair is a bit of an ask for people whose lives are often as messed up in their own way as Jamie's is. Jamie is a fantastic person who deserves for once to have something amazing happen for him. So let's make it happen. My weirdos, my freaks, my nerds, I ask you to rise up and to support a fallen member of our tribe. My gamers, donate the haul from your next dungeon to help Jamie out. Maybe we can build a wheelchair accessible dungeon with the excess. My bros, let's make Jamie's brohood official and show him that our brotherhood is as strong as any sisterhood. Lovers of K-pop, the BTS army, rally to the call and come to Jamie's aid. You've done so much to support Jamie in recent years, emotionally, but you can do more. It seems so little, really, a wheelchair, but it literally means the world to Jamie. It's a chance at a new house, a new lease on life, the ability to travel and to visit friends again, to go to the movies and to gigs and concerts, to get out of debt. Something as simple as getting a haircut regularly becomes possible and a lot less expensive with the right wheelchair. With the right chair, Jamie can even take up a part-time job to give some structure, hope, opportunity and income to his life. But it all depends on the right wheelchair. Let's get that goddamn chair and set the ball and Jamie rolling. Get Jamie into better accommodation and see if we can't pay down some of his debts while we're at it, if we get over the target. I talked to Jamie about setting this up. He showed concern about paying it forward and helping other people in similarly bad situations. And that just shows you who he is. This is the blue touch paper on a chain of kindness that will go forward, paying it forward into the future. So let's set it off. Zang.